Pedro Acosta has been touted as one of the biggest stars rising through the ranks in Grand Prix racing for many years now, and the situation at KTM, as you know, hasn't been ideal. At the start of this season, he has scored 16 points. He's crashed in two of those Grand Prix, albeit in the first one he did remount and finish. That was a 18th place, but he crashed out of the race in Coda, and his highest place in Grand Prix this year has been 8th. It begs the question, where will Acosta go at the end of this year? Will he stay with KTM or will he move on to somewhere else? We're here to look at that and, discuss it. So, Pedro Acosta is contracted to KTM until the end of 2026. That's the end of next year, of course. But as you know, since the winter of 24 into 25, a lot of KTM's future, you could say, has been thrown in doubt about their racing project. Of course, the company has had to go through a restructuring phase to avoid bankruptcy, but the racing project still insists it's going to go ahead and it's a part of the fabric of the company. But on track, KTM have struggled. At 25, the bike is seemingly having the issues that it struggled with in 24 with the rear tyre, only it seemingly has got worse, and Acosta isn't being able to mask the issues that he done last year on the Gas KTM. So, yeah, the links, where is he going to end up, and where do I think he'll end up? Well, I think, personally, at this point of the season, every team that is looking for a new rider, of course, is probably talking to rider managers. And the one persistent link that consistently keeps coming up is VR46. Of course, they have Frankie Morbidelli and Fabio Di Giannantonio. Morbidelli's on a year-by-year contract. And it'd be tough to see Rossi move out one of his academy riders for someone like Pedro Acosta, who isn't an academy rider. Yes, Fabio Di Giannantonio is a VR46 rider in the sense that he rides for the team, but he isn't a VR46 Academy rider, as he is a Ducati factory-backed contract rider, so that's where he rides, essentially. Would it be something like that, where Rossi's Academy seat would have to go to, say, a Ducati-signed rider if Acosta was to join? Potentially, but yeah, Valentino Rossi and his team have made no secret that Pedro Acosta is an unbelievable talent. Would Rossi want to sign him and potentially disrupt the factory team's harmony by having someone like Acosta go up against Marquez and Bagnaia, for example, in the satellite team versus the factory team in 2026? Could that be something? Who knows? Do I think that move will happen? Yes and no. It's kind of similar to the Marquez situation, isn't it, of 23? Well, not to the extent, but Pedro Acosta would leave a factory contract early to then go and ride a satellite Ducati, which majority will probably be a year old bike at that time, because obviously we've got regulation switches coming in 2027 and teams aren't going to get latest spec updates for 26. It's essentially going to be the same bikes that they're going to be running next year as well. So could I see it happening? Yes. The likelihood of it, I'm not too sure. I think it's something that, yeah, it would look good on paper and it would be a dream for many fans to see Rossi and Acosta under the same banner. But I don't know. I've reserved judgment. But who knows? It could be proven wrong by that. And then the unlikely link. We've seen videos from the paddock in Austin show Paolo Campanotti and Pedro Acosta embracing each other. Of course, Paolo Campanotti is Pramac team owner, and yeah, they were kind of maybe half joking with each other, and Acosta said to him, I'll speak to Valera. Albert Valera is his manager, and it was hinting that Acosta should, yeah, it was telling Campanotti to speak to his manager about potentially, I don't know, a move to Yamaha machinery, which would be fairly interesting. You know, if Yamaha could manage to sign a big name like Acosta, that would be pretty special, I think, for their brand and their project going forward. Could this one happen? I think it's very unlikely. Jack Miller's proven to be very good in that squad. Would it be Miguel Oliveira that gets moved aside potentially if Acosta was to get brought in by Yamaha and Pramac? Who knows? I just don't see Acosta wanting to go through a project again and potentially play the waiting game until 27. I think if he wants to move teams, it would be to somewhere where he knows that he can competitively fight for wins and podium straight away. That's why you would break a factory contract, because you're in a factory team. You expect to be towards the front, but obviously the KTM this year has struggled. Yeah, I don't know. I think it was a bit tongue in cheek. Maybe they seen the cameras and they knew they could do this. But yeah, Acosta to Pramac Yamaha could be an option. But there's also a factory spot that's open. And I can't believe I'm saying this. Honda have made great steps in 25. You've seen consistently how that bike has been able to get into top 10 in qualifying. Looks good in the race, albeit they have a deficit on the engine with top speed. Joan Mir is signed up until the end of 2026, so that's the end of next year. Luca Marini and Johan Zarco out of contract. Of course, Luca Marini is the other factory rider at Castrol, Honda, whatever you want to call it these days. Johan Zarco is essentially a factory rider at the LCR team. He gets everything similar. They're both out of contract. Would Honda make a big play for Pedro Acosta? Would they want to get him on their books? Because it would be a massive thing for that project to have Pedro Acosta. I'd say the Honda is well placed compared to the Yamaha. Essentially, if you looked at 26 moves and rides, I think the Yamaha has a bit of catching up to do to be near the Honda's level. But it's difficult. Again, would Acosta want to go wait a year and then know in 27 have Honda brought something pretty special with the new regulations? I think it's more likely, but then it's similar to Yamaha. Where he's going to end up? Could he end up just staying at KTM? Could all this just be hearsay and speculation? Big possibility he could stay at KTM. I think if they could get that rear tire sorted, and if they can give him reassurances that the tyre issue will disappear because of updates on the chassis, updates with the engine, just that instability they have on the rear, if they can give him that reassurance, I think he'll stay at KTM. But who knows? I think it's a great prospect having someone like him on the market. Well, not that he's on the market. There is a release clause probably in his contract saying that he can move somewhere. It's just that manufacturers will have to pay a big premium for it. And yeah, where I think he'll end up, there's two in my head. It'll probably be stay at KTM, or if he was, it would be to move to VR46, but there's a lot of barriers to that. And yeah, let's see what will happen. I'm interested to see how this one plays out as we get into the European rounds and the speculation ramps up. But yeah, let's see what happens. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Pedro Acosta is going to move? Certainly interested to read your thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe if you're brand new, and we'll see you next week for another video. Take care.